Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Watch the greenbacks tumble.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, here we go. Your dial is set correctly to USAPrepares.com. And we're delighted you're here. We're broadcasting 2 hours from high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. We've got a call-in number if you'd like to participate. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. I'll repeat it one more time. 866-582-9933. There's a link to your instructors on the website, usaprepares.com, the instructors tab. John is engineering the broadcast at GCN. Captain John Regan's with us. Welcome, Captain John Regan.
Good morning, Vincent.
Hey. Good morning, John. John, I'm so glad you're here, and we're continuing yesterday's broadcast. And I just have a slight, small comment. Hillary Clinton said that, there's a YouTube video, and I'll post it on the website during the broadcast. She said, we're going to put coal miners and coal companies out of business. That's what she said. And then this morning's post on, or one of them on dailymail.co.uk says, Bill Clinton will be more than first dude. Hillary says she'll put her husband in charge of revitalizing the economy. Really? Those are two of the participants at the highest levels who were in charge of destroying the economy. Now, if the economy is so bad, why is it that your government says that the unemployment rate is about 5%? Why is that? And inflation is virtually zero. John, am I confused? Aren't those the statistics that they are releasing?
Everything is awesome.
Yeah, so if inflation is virtually zero and unemployment is at 5%, which I was taught at the university when I studied finance and economics for 6 years, formally, I was taught that 5% is an ideal unemployment rate. That's perfect because, well, you can't have everybody employed because there's some people that just can't be employed. They're either not capable, either physically, something has happened to them, mentally, they're injured, or some other reason. So 5%, you just can't employ everybody. So 5% is the ideal number for unemployment, meaning 95% of us are employed. And that's crazy too, because 95% of us are not employed. Now, I don't have a job. John, do you have a job?
No, I don't.
Yeah. And what we do is we do our passion, and we're relying on the reserves that we made in order to follow our passion, which is to alert and awaken everyone who's interested in paying attention to what's really happening. But she thinks that Bill would be the guy to revitalize the economy. The guy who was in charge of destroying the economy for 8 years. And if you think about it, not everything came from China when Bill was at the helm. And now almost everything comes from China. Almost everything. There's one thing that may not still come from China. I may be wrong about this, but I haven't bought detergent laundry detergent in a while because we buy it in those, they used to be 5-gallon buckets. Now they're probably 2.5-gallon buckets. But I think that's still made in the United States. But I'm not 100% sure if all laundry detergent is made in the United States. Other than that, I'm trying to think of things that are still made in this country, and it's hard to find them. It really is. I think we make concrete blocks still because they're heavy and they're relatively inexpensive. But pretty soon, when China needs to find another place to send their hazardous waste, they'll probably start making concrete blocks and put the hazardous waste in the concrete blocks, and then we'll build our homes with those concrete blocks.
And they'll probably get their raw materials from Fukushima.
There you go. What a great. Well, sure. I'll spread it around, make sure everybody gets their fair share. Class, I just wanted to mention that we have this club that you may join. Now, we haven't done much with it yet, but if you'd like to be early in joining the club so that you can participate in the kind of things that we're going to offer, the kits, battery kits, for your renewable energy systems. We're working on that. Maybe some grass-fed beef if you want to buy some beef on the hoof and then have it processed and then pick it up here in Missouri. That's another possibility. There's many other possibilities about the expo, the online expo, which will be brought to you via teleseminar. It's getting very expensive to have expos in person. Very, very expensive for everybody. Think about what does it cost? The cost for a hotel room in Tennessee was about $100 a night. That's pretty expensive. Here in our neck of the woods, we can do it for about $50, but it's still expensive. Then there are meals and so forth. So if you're interested in joining USA Prepares, the club, so that we can send you information about our latest activities, and you may want to know about what happened to us should we cease broadcasting on the air. I'm not planning that, but all kinds of things happen. Personal relationships change with me and other people because of events that happen, and I might get thrown off the air, or I might disconnect our broadcast from radio stations, depending on things that they may or may not do. So that could happen. And if you want to know how to stay in touch with us, just go to usaprepares.com. Page number 1, pop up. Just put your first name in there and your email address, and that way we can send you an all-points bulletin for things that you need to know about. So if something happens and it's bad, we're going to send out an alert. So you can think of it as a club, an alert, and a way of participating in fantastic bargains and items that you may not be able to get elsewhere. So where are you going to get your grass-fed beef from? That doesn't contain, maybe human DNA, and doesn't contain pink slime. Think about that. So if you want to join the club, all we ask for is your first name and your email address, and it's only used for our purposes. We don't sell it. We're not going to sell it. It's not for sale. Well, other expos, by the way, do sell the email address. I'm not talking about RK Prepper shows. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about other expos. They collect your email addresses and sell them. Why? Because they're valuable. Mm-hmm. And once they're sold, they can be redistributed, and you'll never know where they went. So we don't do that, and Norm Shealy doesn't do that. John, so where do you want to start?
Well, yesterday I talked a little bit about the movie Armageddon and how disappointed I was. It just evolved into a movie about guns and, fighting off a UN occupation and having Texas secede from the Union, all this after an EMP. And so today I just want to take a few minutes to talk about what I see the likely scenarios are. And for those of you that haven't gone through military and war planning, there's some basic scenarios, and then you get offshoots, so you can end up with dozens and dozens quickly. So yeah, we could really go wild on that. I'm going to not go that direction. Some of you may have gone the MBA route, where Instead of the military side, you're looking at business decisions, and you're coming up with all kinds of alternatives for the business plan. But when we look at what's happening, and the basic reason I wrote the Financial State of the Union is to establish this baseline that there is mathematically no way we can avoid having a financial collapse. And in the 4 years that I've been on the air and the more than 2 years the book has been out, I have not had anybody been able to present anything to counter that argument. And if you have something, I would love to see it. Basically, if you think my numbers are wacky, and it's true, the government does put out some wacky numbers, whether it's the unemployment, the GDP, they fudge factor a lot of that. They can't do that quite so much with debt numbers. The unfunded liabilities starts relying on forecasts, and when you're into forecasts, you have ranges, and even in the Social Security trustee report, they give you three alternatives: a low, a medium, and a high. And it's the intermediate that you always see published. Professor Kotlikoff goes a step further and uses the Congressional Budget Office. They have an alternate scenario that is not quite as rosy as what's in the Social Security trustee report. And I think that might even still be too optimistic. But at least it's based on a government-issued report. And even using their numbers, it's bad. So if you've got better numbers and, just getting beyond government debt, my calculations that you see, well, now it's almost up to 65 trillion, but 60 of the $100 trillion in world debt is in the United States, and McKinsey says that's actually 200 trillion. So if you believe McKinsey, it's actually twice as bad as what I say, and we'll get into more after the break.
Captain John Regan's with us, U.S. Air Force Reserves, retired. He wrote the book, The Financial State of the Union. His website, thefinancialstateoftheunion.com. We're talking about the absolute certainty of financial collapse. So what are you going to do about it, class? Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Vegas, Nevada.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares unfiltered and untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market. The gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
Captain John Regan's with us, and you're talking about the certainty of the financial collapse. And, John, as you say this, obviously comes to mind the railroad supply disruption. Think about that. You know, coal to the coal-fired plants like we have here in our part of the country in Missouri. And then you have gas and diesel supply disruption. Then you have electricity supply disruption. Just think about something as simple as the traffic lights not working in your hamlet. You know, if you live in a city and just one item, the traffic lights stop working, it'd be mass chaos, because we can't handle figuring out who goes first and who's next and who's polite. It just, wow, can you imagine that? So that's what we're talking about. John, please continue.
And in my book, I just covered one scenario because in the lessons of history, when you've got bad economic times, what usually follows is war. And with war today, it's not like World War II where the United States was isolated. And it's not so much that we need to be concerned about an invasion, but our infrastructure can easily be attacked because of just with today's missiles, you can go beyond that with bombers, where you quickly get things there by air, or, with our wonderful porous borders, it's not too hard to get teams of a few people and some fairly, in the scheme of things, minor weaponry. So I would want to turn my attention now to the electric grid. Now, we can see a scenario where we have a financial collapse with a war, which would attack the grid, which would then lead to the grid down situation. There's a number of ways the grid can be taken down. A lot of times we talk about EMP, where one or more nukes are exploded at high altitude, and that would take out the grid in pretty much all North America. You could be in a question on if this would end up being a worldwide event, because once we're attacked, we really don't want our friends or enemies being in a better position than us. So with the launch of a few missiles, we can make sure that everybody's on a level playing field at that point. we've also got the sun that can be a threat to us. And we're now looking at, it doesn't take the large CME that we thought it was going to take to cause problems because of our declining magnetic shield. It can be caused by a much lower event, which means it becomes more likely. And of course, there's lots of variables in that, but if a strong enough blast comes this way, then that pretty much takes things down worldwide. If it's a smaller blast, it'll probably be concentrated at least away from the equator a bit. And there's some differences with the EMP. You end up with more damaged electronics. With a CME, it might not damage the electronics, but what concerns me is I read about back during the Carrington event where the telegraph was the technology of the day, how, telegraph wires were, fell to the ground burning, and fires were started in a number of telegraph offices. Well, today we have, power and telephone lines connected practically everywhere. And even though we'll have some warning, it's not going to be enough time where the electric company could come out and do a disconnection from your meter so that there's nothing connected to your house. So when this hits, you may want to be ready to put out fires where that your house is connected to the grid. And there, as many fires as there will be, the fire department won't be able to make it to you, and we'll continue about what else can take down the grid when we get back from the break.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Hi, this is Ron Paul. I'm a former 22-year congressman and Republican presidential candidate. I'm here to tell you about something that just might save your lives. You never know when there will be another Katrina, an economic collapse, or a serious drought. We should all have a little food storage that will carry us through tough times. I'm going to tell you about a great way to do that. A U.S. company named Harvest Right has a kitchen appliance that can help you be prepared. It's a home freeze dryer. With the product, you can preserve the foods your family loves. And the best part is the food will last 25 years and still taste great. I've tried it and it's amazing. With a home freeze dryer from Harvest Right, you can literally freeze dry anything you eat. even things like ice cream. To learn more, call Harvest Right today at 800-594-4635 or go to harvestright.com. That's 800-594-4635 or harvestright.com.
When fresh liquid whey is processed into a dry powder, the special proteins that make up the whey lose their original shapes. They fold in on themselves and lose their functional value. One World Whey undergoes a technological enhancement that we believe restores these potent proteins back to their original shapes the body can use.
I chose to try One World Whey first before going to a doctor who would likely only prescribe drugs. To my delight, it worked. After stabbing pain for years, to have it completely gone is a miracle. I'd like to also stress that, for me, it took several months of taking One World Whey before I had improvement, and then an entire year for my gut to feel 100% healed. So now I tell my friends, give your body time to make use of the healing power of One World Whey.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
John Regan and I are talking about collapse. And we're talking about the CMEs, coronal mass ejections. And telephone lines and power lines act as antenna. And they attract and pick up these electromagnetic pulses and electromagnetic energy. And then the wires carry that energy away from where it's picked up. And as this massive amount of energy travels, it's looking for the closest ground, the closest place that this energy can reach the surface of the earth, the ground. And that's what we call that center prong on our outlets. That would be the ground. Well, as the energy travels into your home or business, it's looking for a way to get to the ground. Well, that's usually through your equipment that's plugged into the outlets. And you've got lots of equipment plugged into your outlets. You've got televisions, you've got all kinds of equipment grounded, even in your kitchen. So that energy is going to go into those appliances, those devices that are plugged in, and cook them right there. So you may have several fires all starting simultaneously in your house. That's what John Regan's talking about. John, please continue.
And then with a lot of the newer housing, and I see that here in Dallas, you have these large houses on small lots. So even if just one of them catches on fire, there's, like I said, there's not going to be a fire department to come to the rescue. As it burns, that fire can easily start spreading to the next one and the next one and the next one. And you can end up with firestorms going on in neighborhoods. So it's a bad situation. And you also get the same thing going on in buildings. The buildings are not fireproof, and once a fire starts and starts taking over a skyscraper, I hope your smartphone still works, because it's making an interesting video for posterity.
John, but, a lot a lot of homes have lawn mowers in the garage with, though, maybe a quart or so on average of fuel in the fuel tank of a lawnmower, maybe a rototiller, maybe a weed whacker, and maybe that 5-gallon gas container is half full, 2.5 gallons there, and then you've got the vehicles maybe in the garage or on the driveway or out in front, parked in front of the street. On average, they probably have 7.5 to 10 gallons of fuel in them. Figure 15 to 20 gallon fuel tank on average, half full. So 7.5 to 10 gallons of fuel there, and then you have the natural gas lines under pressure into many homes. Other homes have propane tanks. If you have a propane tank and it's a 500-gallon tank, figure it's on average half full. You only fill them to 80%, so a 500-gallon tank would have 400 gallons of propane if it's absolutely full, 200 gallons of propane if it's on average filled, half. So now we got a lot of problems. Then you've got the trees, and you've got lumber and 2x4s, 2x6s, and the list goes on and on. A lot of combustible things that man has made. So add to just these, the fires, add the extra combustibles and explosives, right? And then you have, guys who have firearms, and you've got these cartridges going off from the heat. No fireman's going to go near that.
And while you can go to the breaker panel and turn everything off, the voltage coming across there might be high enough that it even arcs across that. But even if you turn off your panel, that power line is still connected to your house. And you could easily get a fire start right there.
John, I have something that I don't think I've ever shown you, but I have a surge protector. It's made by APC, American Power Conversion. I consider them about the finest in the surge protection industry. And this has 7 outlets and a power switch on it, and an LED to tell you whether there's a ground fault, and another LED to tell you that it's powered up. And it's really well constructed. It's the one I recommended to our customers when we're in the computer manufacturing business. And one of our customers brought one back, and he said, "You need to see this." He had it. He bought it from us. He had it on his wooden desk, and lightning struck nearby. Lightning hopped on the power lines, came into his house, burned the plastic of the surge protector, and burned part of his desk. And that was just a lightning strike nearby. So the Carrington event, we saw something kind of like a little tiny one of those in our little hamlet in Virginia. And in addition to that, the reason that we recommended these particular surge protectors is because there were so many power outages in our hamlet in Virginia, like once a week. On average, a person would experience their computer just losing power once a week, as well as the rest of their house. Maybe it was just for a second or 2 or 10 or 5 or maybe an hour. But there were so many power outages that it was brutal on the equipment. So we recommended the best surge protection we could find, and this particular one was the best in its class, and it's still burned up. Just connecting another dot.
And even if you do have a UPS or surge suppressor, these devices are protecting your equipment from minor events, and within 3 to 5 years, they've basically been used up and they need to be replaced, even if they seem to be working for you. It does degrade the equipment inside that is offering that protection.
Yeah, just as a side note, class, if you're looking at surge protection equipment, if you turn it, before you buy it, look at the voltage suppression. I like 330 volts as a minimum. So we're looking at line to neutral, line to ground suppression as a minimum of 330 volts. Higher than that means less protection. So 330 volts is the maximum that I would like to see let through the surge protector into the equipment. See, that's almost 3 times what you would normally expect to be using. You expect your your household outlet to be 110 to 120 volts. 330 is almost 3 times that. So keep that in mind. Now, please continue, John.
But there's other ways that the grid can be taken down. And it was, 2, 3, 4 years ago when the Department of Homeland Security chief stepped down, and when she left, she made the comments that there is a 100% chance that the grid will be taken down by cyber attack. And yeah, we're not talking about brief down, we're talking about, I think at a minimum days. Of course, when that happens, then things start going bad very quickly. One of the ways things can be attacked is inside the power production plants. And it's more than just shutting them down. You can go in and override safeties and actually have equipment start destroying itself. So we've talked about how these large transformers can be destroyed with the EMP. And in normal times, it would take at least a year to get one of these things ordered because they're all custom made. Right now, the backlog is 3 years. We don't even make them in America. And if you end up having worldwide grid down, then there's, pretty much a wait for decades, if not centuries, to get those things replaced. But before you get to that transformer, you have the power generation plant. And that's one of the things that, the Allied bombers bombed in World War II is go after the power plants, because without power, the rest of the war machine doesn't work too well. And I've even seen photos of power generation plants underground, to protect the power from the bombers. But here in the United States, where we believe that the world's both hunky and dory, our power plants are just sitting right out in the surface. And, whether it's done by cyber means or whether it's done, by physical means, a missile, bomber, start taking out power plants, those things would take time to rebuild, plus all the equipment that goes into it. And if you don't have the supply chain and the manufacturing in place, you can't even replace those. And then, step back and look at the situation further. We've lost a lot of engineering knowledge over the years, especially the way things used to work before we got this mass-produced stuff we're using today. And even the engineers that might know how to do it, the people that have this highly specialized knowledge, tend to know almost nothing about how to make a living for themselves in a grid down type event. So the very people that have the knowledge to try to do the restoration are probably going to be among the first that die, because they don't know a thing about food and water. They're just so used to buying it because they're highly skilled, highly paid individuals. And right now, if you're one of those types, you tend not to see any problems going on in the world. You believe, everything's normal. There's always conflicts. There's always recessions. And they got a big surprise coming.
John, when you talked about these overrides, I'd like to connect the dot when we come back. Captain John Regan's with us. I'm Ben Finelli, USAPreparedness.com. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system, In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
A good stove is at the top of the list for any serious survivalist. That's why you have to see the full range at emberlit.com. Simple, elegant, but extraordinarily efficient. Available in titanium or stainless steel, the Emberlit line of stoves are ultralight, pack flat, and work great. Fueled only by sticks and debris. From emergency situations to long-term survival, Emberlit stoves are up to the task. Emberlit, the most convenient, easy-to-carry wood stoves on the planet. See them all at emberlit.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
You know about RVs, you've heard about bunkers, but surviving is not recreation, and man wasn't made to live underground. Introducing Survivalist Camps, the ultimate fully functional off-the-grid survival bug-out house that's mobile, well-equipped, and custom-built to outlast any other RV or trailer. Go to survivalistcamps.com to learn more. That's survivalistcamps.com, providing your basic needs to survive. Survivalistcamps.com.
Did you know a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-900-0684.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs with no hassle. Never have to clean your machine by hand again. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer, only available by calling 1-800-900-0684. That's 1-800-900-0684.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Back in the 1920s and the 1930s, when we were wiring our homes, we used something called knob and tube wiring. And what that is we would take cotton-covered, tar-impregnated wire. We'd cover them with cotton and tar as an insulation, and we would drill holes through the posts, the beams, the studs in homes, and we would run wires separated by, let's say 12 inches. So that's how we wired our first homes with electric wiring. And the good thing about that is the wires would never touch each other under normal circumstances. And there were tubes that would be pushed through the holes that were drilled in the wood post beams and studs. And they were made out of porcelain, and wires would be fed through them, and there were two wires, a hot wire and a neutral wire. And as long as they were separated, everything was good. And then each one of those circuits that ran throughout the structure would be protected by a fuse, typically a 15 ampere fuse. And the good thing about this type of design was that the wire would be in free air in the wall cavities. And the idea was if the wires got warm through the normal conducting of electricity, that heat would be dissipated in the air surrounding the wire. So it had a natural cooling effect. So if the wire were overloaded a little bit, you could rest assured that some cooling would take place inside the wall cavities or wherever the wire was run. Well, we improved that. It was a pain in the neck to drill multiple holes in the structure, so we came up with something called BX, and that's a kind of a flexible steel-jacketed wiring system, and we had two conductors that were insulated with plastic or the same type of tar and cotton insulation. Ultimately, it became plastic, but initially it was tar and cotton. And that really was it was easier to install, but it didn't have the effect of being in free air. And we still used those protection circuits of 15 amperes. And then we found a better way to go, much, much cheaper, much easier. It didn't require a hacksaw to cut the cable armor. That was called Romex. And we just drilled holes in the walls and or the studs or whatever, wherever we were running it, and it was easy. But it was plastic insulation. And we protected that with those fuses as well, and ultimately we went to circuit breakers. But what happened is we kept blowing fuses as we had more and more devices attached to these circuits in our houses. Like in the kitchen, you'd run a toaster and try to run the overhead light, and it'd blow the fuse, and you'd say, well, heck, I'll just put in a bigger fuse. So we bypassed the automatic limiting, which was the 15 amp fuse initially, and we'd just stick in a 20 amp fuse. And we'd run more current through the wire, and the wire would get hotter, and we burned some houses down. That's what John was talking about when you bypass the automatic safety systems. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about. Well, you know, the automatic circuit trips, and we say, well, we can fix that. We'll just bypass that. We'll put in the equivalent of a bigger fuse, let more current through. There's dangers to doing that. John Regan, back to you.
And let's just flash back to the Great Depression. Back then, we still had about 20% of the population that was in agriculture, and even a large amount of people that were not in agriculture had their own gardens or backyard chickens. So they were still raising part of their own food. It wasn't until supermarkets came into being that we got lazy. And if you looked outside a city, you probably didn't have electricity. So a lot of things have changed since then.
You know, my grandmother would buy meat. She had a great garden, but she would have her own chickens. But every once in a while, she'd buy meat at the supermarket, and she'd wash the meat in salt water. And I remember in the 1950s asking her about it. She says, "Oh, it's dirty. This meat is dirty. People touch that stuff. When they cut it, you know, the butcher touches it. It gets handled. Oh, it's dirty. We have to soak it in salt water to clean it." We may want to do that today. Captain John Regan and I'll be right back right after these few short commercial announcements and top of the hour news. This is USA Prepares. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
Suffering from illness or disease? Frequently in pain? Overstressed? Always tired? The solution is to oxygenate your cells because disease cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. Introducing Vital Ion, the first mineralized edible oxygen in the world. Go to toolsforfreedom.com and get the Miracle of Oxygenation DVD free with any Vital Ion purchase. Call 800-770-8802. That's 800-770-8802. Let Vital Ion edible oxygen be your daily fountain of youth.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. I can just see it now, Captain John Regan. So the ad reads something like this. Want to explore? Like girls, we have a job for you. TSA, they're going to hire 800 new what they call officers to join the ranks of their thugs that are putting their hands down the pants of everyone they can find before you can board an airplane. And now, well, when we first started with these band of thugs, the TSA recommended that we arrive 45 minutes to an hour early before the flight, so you can get through the line. Then it was 2 hours. Get there 2 hours early. Now, this is just what the government does. The government gets involved, and you have to get to your flight an hour early, then 2 hours early. Now they're recommending 3 hours. If you're going to fly in Chicago, they're recommending that you get there 3 hours early. Class, why would you want to fly? Really, why would you want to fly? Let me just share a short story with you. So I was flying I believe out of Denver, and I didn't want to do it, but I made this trip, and I was ready to go through the screening, and I did not go through the X-ray machine. I would not do that. So this guy's got his gloves on, he's ready to pat me down. I said, well, wait a minute. I don't know where you've been with those gloves. So I asked him to use new gloves. And I said, well, wait a minute, before you do that, what are you going to do with those gloves? He said, well, I'm going to, pat you down, and then I'm going to examine the gloves for residue. Residue. Huh. Of what? So I said, well, can you show me how that goes right now before we do this? I'm willing to take the time to do that. So he takes this pad, he wipes down the gloves, and he puts the pad in the machine, and the machine sends the alarm into panic mode. So the alarm goes off, and I'm really confused. I'm thinking, why did that alarm go off? Why are all these lights and sirens going off? What's right here at this alarm? I looked at him and like, really? So you were going to use those gloves, and you were going to pat me down, and then you were going to test the gloves for residue, and the alarm would have gone off because you had whatever it is on those gloves before I even got here. And so I said, we need to change those gloves. So he put on new gloves, and I said, hold it, wait a minute. Before we do that, I don't even know if those gloves are going to set this thing off. Let's test those gloves before you touch me. So you want me to test the gloves? Really? I said, yeah, really? So he tests the gloves and everything was good. Then he pats me down and then he tests the gloves for residue and everything's good. But what I'm telling you is I was set up to have the alarm go off and then get extra attention in the private room where they lock you in there and they ask you what you're doing, boy. What are you doing, boy? Where have you been? Obviously the system doesn't fail. It's not the system. You must have been somewhere. You take all your clothes off. Bend over. That's where we have arrived. So, try not to fly. And, if enough of us don't fly, then the airlines are going to complain that the government has destroyed their business. You've got to be nuts to fly today. Sorry for the diversion, John Regan.
I guess if you want an easier time in the line, maybe you should dress as a Muslim. Anyway, this is the first time I'm actually having this discussion, and I thought it would only take a couple of segments, and obviously it's taking longer. And just to try and round out the threats to the power grid, we got a chance last hour to talk about EMP, CME, and cyber attacks. Well, the physical attacks are possible too. There's 9 critical transformers that if those were taken out, it would take out the entire grid. Now, we don't know what those are, but I'm sure, we obviously know that our government knows, and pretty sure that our major enemies know as well. So there's a number of ways of doing that too. Be pretty easy to bring in a shoulder-fired missile and just, fire that. Of course, the problem there is you have to be fairly close, and if there's any kind of security, they might be tipped off before you get a chance to get your work done. But then I was thinking about a news item we had a month or two ago about how terrorists could go down to the store and buy a pretty low-end drone that has a 1-pound capacity and use a swarm of them to attack an airport, latching onto the wings and dropping a load of thermite. And then I got to thinking, I don't have any experience with that type of stuff, so I looked up thermite, and I was shocked at what I found. There's a number of recipes, but it basically involves a couple of fairly common things. And a basic recipe would be iron oxide, otherwise known as rust.
Let's not give the recipe. Let's not give the recipe. In class, I just want to say that we are not recommending any of this. What John is talking about is how easy it would be, unfortunately, because of our carelessness and our lack of planning and our lack of protection of the power grid and the transformers. And John, let me just take a segue here. I ran for the director's position of Laclede Electric Co-op. That's an electric power co-op. I ran for the position of director of that. Well, there's several. There are 9 directors. And I ran for one of them. And I stood on stage in front of thousands of people, and I pulled out of my pocket a 5.56 cartridge. It looks like a 223. I pulled out one of those. And I said, he's about 30 cents, 20 cents. One of these, just one of these, shot in one of the transformers in the right place, will take down the power for 10,000 people. And I verified that before I went on stage, I verified that with the engineer of the electric co-op. I said, "This is what I'm going to say. Is that true? Do you agree with that?" And he said, "Yeah, it's true." So thermite is something that, it's not made for nefarious purposes. Thermite is, when the rail lines put together the railroad tracks and they want to weld one piece of track to the one in front of it, to the one in front of that, and make it continuous, they use this thermite. And it, through heat, really high heat, it welds one piece of track to another. That's what it's used for. So it's not like you have to have a special license to buy this stuff. It's made from common materials. So please continue, John. I just don't want to give the recipe for it. I don't want the other team to say we're telling people to blow stuff up. We absolutely are not. What we are ringing the alarm is how exposed we are, how stupid we have become.
Just the recipe doesn't even tell you how to get it to work. But I mean, this is stuff that's on Wiki. It's not. You don't have to go to some black site to get information on it.
That's exactly right.
There's so much stuff in basic chemistry. I mean, we really learned this back with Oklahoma City with fertilizer bombs. You take the nitrate, you take diesel, and you end up with a big bomb. And
John, one small diversion. I went to the place where they mix fertilizer. When in the past, when I've purchased fertilizer, haven't done it in a long time, but I asked the manager of the operation if I could buy nitrogen. No problem. I can. They would let me buy the same stuff that they alleged the Oklahoma City bombing was made out of. They would let me buy that. Why? Because I'm a farmer. Have I bought it? No. They said that, well, they won't let everybody buy it, but, they know that I'm for real. So they would let me buy it. And they have it. They have it there. They have it right on site. Right on site. I'm sorry, please continue.
And then any government with a military and even terrorist groups and drug cartels would have C4 or something along those lines. So there's a number of things that could be used. And again, this isn't something that our government doesn't know about and our enemies don't know about. It's the American public doesn't know about it, and they don't realize what the risks are. So with what ends up being a small device and what can be small delivery devices, you can go in and take out these big transformers, or if you've got demolition experience, you can go in and take out these high-power transmission lines like they did in Ukraine, and bambo, you've got the grid down.
And John, you're not talking about anything that hasn't been on TV. If you watch NCIS, the bad guy almost blows up the power transformer. Almost blows up. So they take you right to the edge of it, but then you get saved by Leroy Jethro Gibbs. We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now, with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Hi, this is Ron Paul. I'm a former 22-year congressman and Republican presidential candidate. I'm here to tell you about something that just might save your lives. You never know when there will be another Katrina, an economic collapse, or a serious drought. We should all have a little food storage that will carry us through tough times. I'm going to tell you about a great way to do that. A U.S. company named Harvest Right has a kitchen appliance that can help you be prepared. It's a home freeze dryer. With the product, you can preserve the foods your family loves. And the best part is the food will last 25 years and still taste great. I've tried it and it's amazing. With a home freeze dryer from Harvest Right, you can literally freeze dry anything you eat, even things like ice cream. To learn more, call Harvest Right today at 800-594-4635 or go to harvestright.com. That's 800-594-4635 or harvestright.com.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
We call it the crapper, water closet, outhouse, or bathroom. But where do you go when there's nowhere to go? The answer is the Biffy Bag. The Biffy Bag is a pocket-sized disposable toilet that fits in your glove box, tackle box, toolbox, backpack, or purse. The Biffy Bag has everything you need for a sanitary and comfortable relief experience. It's ready to use in just seconds, and just toss it in the trash when you're done. It's your Biffy in a jiffy. BiffyBag.com. BiffyBag.com.
You know, Captain John Regan, in the mornings when I broadcast with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, I call him and we talk about what we're going to talk about, and that's the last time we talk about it. It's kind of happened today, hasn't it?
We might get there. We'll see. Again, I really thought the discussion would go a lot quicker. It's kind of like the very first time I talked about the financial state of the union. It was it's at the Springfield Library there, and the group had a 45-minute window. And I thought I maybe had about an hour's worth of material, so I cut it down to what I thought would be 45 minutes. I talked for an hour and a half, and the only reason I stopped in is because the library was closing, and the discussion continued for about another 15 or 20 minutes out in the parking lot. And that was the point where I knew I had to write the book, because there's just too much material to get to. And again, I'm not trying to cover all the bases. I'm just trying to paint the picture to where you have some certainty. You might not like what the picture is, but you can focus on what's happening versus all the circus that's going on around you. And this can help you to stay focused for getting ready. And again, I don't know how many people we can possibly wake up, but if we can wake any up, hopefully something in here will. Now, we could probably devise a scenario where we get to the other side without a grid down. I really think that's kind of the least likely, and you then have to really believe in what gets to be some very far out conspiracy that if the banks, or say the banksters, truly control all the countries, including Russia and China, and nobody gets to go to war without their permission, then in that type of scenario, we might not see the war, and we might not see a grid down situation. And for me, that's the even more nightmarish scenario. But let's explore grid down. Now, I believe we see grid down after a financial collapse. It's possible that we could see, with everything going on, war take place, which we would have grid down. Of course, the economy goes apart after that. Either way, we need to look at what is the aftermath of grid down where you have no supply chain. And that's where you have to be ready ahead of time. You're not going to be able to hop on the internet and order anything. You can't Google something. You can't watch a YouTube video on, how to do something. Whatever in your library, or if you're fortunate enough that you had, like a smartphone or an iPad or other tablet where you had a Faraday cage and you had, PDFs and videos preloaded onto there. Okay, maybe you can use that, but otherwise it's going to be, the old-fashioned, paper books that you'll have for your resource. But beyond the books, you need the skills, and in some cases, you need the tools. And just having the tool, doesn't necessarily mean anything if you don't have the skill to use it. And what was so frustrating to me in watching Amerigeddon is that food was barely given a discussion. They were talking about people that they could bring into their group. They talked about this farmer, and he said, "Well, that could come in handy." Gee whiz, yeah, food could come in handy. And you can't wait, because you can't just raise an animal or raise a crop in a short amount of time, and it might not even be the right time of the year to do that. So
John,
you
have just,
yes.
You're absolutely right, and right as we speak, our son is buying 7,000 pounds of hay. Why? Because the cows have eaten everything we have. The sun hasn't come out. We are out of food here at the farm. We had a backup plan, and we've implemented it this morning while I'm on the air. He's buying hay right now. We'll be right back.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Purchase a ProPure system during the Crazy May sale and get a free ProMax shower filter or water filter pitcher. Remove up to 200 contaminants with the Pro 1G 2.0 truly cleanable, reusable filter. We don't stretch our claims, we just deliver performance. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Blockit Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockitPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockitPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockitPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Are you sneezing, coughing, and aching? Do you have a sore throat, a fever, or the sniffles? There's no reason to be sick this cold and flu season with immune system support from Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver can give your body the help it needs to fight off harmful pathogens without hurting beneficial gut flora and without leaving behind resistant bacteria. Antibiotics can damage good microflora and often leave behind bacteria which can cause problems later on. If you're sick of being sick, try Supernatural Silver. Supernatural Silver, the #1 choice of thousands for a safe and effective way to protect against the many diseases and illnesses that we are facing today. Go to supernaturalsilver.com, read our customer reviews, and see the life-changing results that people are having. That's supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code PROTECTED for 20% off your entire order. And like us on Facebook. Supernatural Silver.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a select quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Arranged for that yesterday. And you might think that I didn't plan. No, I planned, and I still have some few thousand pounds of hay left. But we absolutely had to buy it because we are burning through easily 3,000 or 4,000 pounds of hay a day. And if you want to put that into numbers, that's easily $100 a day just to keep our cows alive. $100 a day, that's $700 a week. That's without transportation. You put the transportation in there, it's $1,000 a week. Why? Because the criminals that seem to be running things have turned off the sun. They've turned off the sun. We have enough moisture, but we don't have enough sunlight for photosynthesis. So although the grass is tall, it's thin. The undergrowth is hardly there. And it's not just here. The same thing is in Tennessee. The same thing is in Kentucky. I was there over the weekend. I look at the grass. And by the way, 21 chemtrails over the skies where we were at the RK Prepper Show in Tennessee over the weekend. 21 chemtrails. Sunday morning. I counted them. And I'd like to read something else. I got a note from CJ, She's a lovely lady. I've never met her, but we've communicated back and forth, and she sends me tidbits of news, things that are happening in her family's life. And I have a feeling she's about the same age as I. And she sent me this note. My brother-in-law has been hospitalized in Florida. The nurses there told her, my brother-in-law was hospitalized. The nurses there, I guess it would be his wife, that he was lucky to get a bed. There are waiting lists for beds and rooms in that city. Here's the kicker. The halls in the hospital were lined with hundreds of hospital beds. And when I asked her why, she didn't know. She said she doesn't ask questions. She just does what she's told. So now the question is, why do they have these hospital beds lined in the halls? Obviously something is happening. Maybe people are getting more sick than the hospital expected. But these are the good days, John. These are, we still have the power grid. We haven't had that CME. We haven't had that financial collapse that we've been talking about for years. It hasn't happened yet. But all the signs are pointing to catastrophe and chaos. Chaos. That's where we're headed. Sharon in Montana, welcome.
Good morning. Hey,
good morning.
I was going to suggest a couple books people might want to read. I know it's really difficult to imagine life without electricity, and even though we've lived a fairly prepared life for a while, just in case of anything, earthquake or whatever. One is 1 Second After, and the other is Lights Out, and they're both well written, and they give you kind of a bigger picture of what would happen if you didn't have all the services. They're enjoyable read, but they're very informative, and they're a way to kind of wrap your mind around what it could be like. I mean, they both have different types of endings, which may or may not be viable. The other idea I would just suggest is that people explore the idea of herbal alternatives for various problems like high blood pressure or whatever. There would be a fairly high die-off if you couldn't get their medicines, and there's some fairly decent alternatives in the herbal build, and it would be probably smart for people to consider looking into that now. And if you had these stuff available, it'd probably be very much in demand because people wish to live. Anyway, that's all I was going to say. I just think it's easier if you read something and kind of get the bigger picture instead of the individual things.
In class, I'd like to mention that Sharon is a USA Preparedness instructor, and you know her husband, Kyle Harris. They live off-grid in Montana. My wife bought a copy of Lights Out from USA Preparedness instructor John Moore, and she read it, and it was. She said it was riveting, and it was an eye-opener, exactly what you said. In class, just last night, I was chatting with my mom, and she. So I brought up Netflix, and we were sitting in the kitchen, and she said, "Jericho, let's watch Jericho." I said, "Okay." She said, "We watched it before. Let's watch it again." I said, "Okay." And Joey, USA Preparedness instructor in Michigan, said that he's watching it for the third time, and each time he watches it, he sees things that he missed. Same thing happened to me last night as I watched the pilot for Jericho, Jehricho, Jericho, I think it's spelled. I suggest that you watch it, and I said to my mom last night, I'm going to offer that as homework at USA Prepares. Absolutely riveting. I think you should watch it. It's an eye-opener about society. What the heck happens when things go bad? John Regan, do you agree?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Sharon, anything else?
No, not particularly. I was going to say you can get these books at the library. You don't have to pay any money for them. They should be very easily available at the library. We can get it at our small library. So, and Jericho's actually good too. It's just when you watch or read these things, it's a good idea to think, what could I not live without very easily? I mean, obviously you could probably live in the woods if you had some kind of food, but what could you do? Even if you just have an earthquake or like bad weather they've had, I mean, you don't have to think war or collapse, although those are possible. But I just think they give you an idea of, oh, wow, I never thought of that. So anyway, that's all I was going to say, because I think sometimes just talking about it's kind of up in the air and you don't really visualize it. And if you watch something like Jericho, it shows you. But if you read some of these books, you start seeing the fallout. And there's some things you can do that could minimize the impact on you. So Anyway, have a great day. Thank you.
Very good. Hey, thank you, Sharon. There you go. John, back to you.
Well, we've gone the long way around to get to the point that you really need to have your food and water ready. And you can't just, while it's important to have food stored, you can't just rely on that, because you have to have the working skills on raising your own food. And if you're not already doing that, unless you've got enough food stored for the rest of your life, which is kind of cost prohibitive, you're probably only going to last for about 60 days at most, past what food you have stored up.
John, I've been growing tomatoes since I was a child, and I love tomatoes. And I planted about 20 plants, and I was talking to my mom about them last night. She said, "You got 4 tomato plants that are doing really well." And I said, "Mom, I planted about 20, and so 16 of them are not doing well. They are not doing well. They need sun, and they need an environment where they can grow. And it was nice and warm out. I put them out. I watered them. I did all things that you would expect. But they're not growing very well. 4 of them are doing okay, just okay. The potatoes are doing fine. The tomatoes, the peppers are doing poorly. I don't even know if they're going to survive. So, and it's my fault. I didn't put in the hoop house. It's something. It's just more things that I need to do than I have time to do. What's more important? The cows, the hoop house, the equipment, the hay equipment, making sure everything is working. The radio broadcast is what first thing is first. And it's getting a little difficult to figure that out now. But it's tough growing a garden, John. I don't care what anybody says. You just plant those seeds and expect them to just work automatically. That does not happen.
It's kind of funny. I think it was the first expo in Lebanon there. Mm-hmm. I went by and was talking to Mike Knox. Yeah. And I was kind of joking with him. All you got to do is plant the seed, water it, and wait for it to grow, right? Yeah. And he got a good chuckle out of that too.
Yeah. And John's mentioning water. This is not an infomercial, but if you want ProPure water filtration, the same system that I think is the best there is, it's available at usaprepares.com. Click on the tab and at the top, and you can buy them at the lowest price. We sell them at the same price everybody else does, except we offer an instant rebate. So you don't have to fill out anything. It's just right there. And that's my way of saying we discount them. We sell them at the same price everybody else does, except we offer an instant rebate. But I can't say we discount them. So if you want them at the lowest price, we have them. Sherry in Kansas, welcome.
Hi, Vince.
Hey.
John. This is Sherry from Kansas.
Yeah.
I got one of those FlowJack kits. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I know the inventor. He's been on the air with us. He's been to the expo.
Okay.
FlowJack, yes.
Well, when I finally got it installed, it said you only needed to go about 20 feet lower, 15 to 20 feet lower than what your water level was. And I took my water level at the new moon, which is supposed to be the lowest part. And so I did, although I had the pipe to go deeper, I only went that. And then when I tested the water, I could taste the sulfur, which I really can't taste with the pump. The thing, when the electric pump goes a lot deeper. So I want to recommend to people that if they do that, and I had the capability to go deeper with the kit I bought, that you do go deeper than just 15 or 20 feet, because of the problem I ran into. Do you understand?
Yes, what you're saying is you have a static water level and you went 15 or 20 feet below that, and you're saying go farther below the level of the water, the static level of the water
to get
in
better
your well.
water.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
and there's one other thing I wanted to say. You're talking about the Jericho deal. Well, I don't know if either of you remember a series. It's the first thing I ever saw Jessica Alba in, and it was called Dark Angel. And the scenario was she was some of these children that were super soldiers. But it was only on the air one season, and I think it's because they had drones.
Because they had what?
Because they were showing drones. This
Yeah.
was back in the 90s. Using drones on the population. Anyway, that's all I had. Thanks.
Sherry, thank you so much for being with us. Captain John Regan, I'll be right back after these few short commercial announcements. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from ironedison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of ironedison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our ironedison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at ironedison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
We call it the crapper, water closet, outhouse, or bathroom. But where do you go when there's nowhere to go? The answer is the Biffy Bag. The Biffy Bag is a pocket-sized disposable toilet that fits in your glove box, tackle box, toolbox, backpack, or purse. The Biffy Bag has everything you need for a sanitary and comfortable relief experience. It's ready to use in just seconds, and just toss it in the trash when you're done. It's your Biffy in a jiffy. BiffyBag.com. BiffyBag.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products. Most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-941-5257. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-941-5257. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-941-5257. That's 1-800-941-5257.
Suffering from illness or disease? Frequently in pain? Overstressed? Always tired? The solution is to oxygenate your cells because disease cannot survive in an oxygen-rich environment. Introducing Vital Ion, the first mineralized edible oxygen in the world. Go to toolsforfreedom.com and get the Miracle of Oxygenation DVD free with any Vital Ion purchase. Call 800-770-8802. That's 800-770-8802. Let Vital Ion edible oxygen be your daily fountain of youth.
Class, I just listened to Hillary Clinton, one of the chief architects of the destruction of the United States of America. And the YouTube video I just listened to is very short, 45 seconds. It's about, we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. And I posted the link on the website, page 1. I'll probably play it tomorrow. We're running out of time. Anita in South Dakota, welcome.
Hi, this is Anita. I live off grid, and I've tried to prepare for these EMPs or these whatever they're going to do to us, but I use a Mylar. In addition to the trash can, the metal trash cans for a Faraday cage, and then the extra large stuff, I've been using Mylar blankets and Mylar sleeping bags. Now, that's supposed to be coated with some kind of aluminum, and I'm hoping that works. But like I have all the extra controllers and regulators for my solar panels in trash cans. And then
when you say
like
trash
my
cans, you're talking
Bobcat
about
that I used to move hay, I make sure that the bucket doesn't touch the ground. It's on wood, so it's not grounded. Am I on the right track on this stuff?
No, I think you should be grounded. You know, there's two schools of thought here. One is to ground that trash can, ground the equipment. I think absolutely ground it. But some engineers would say don't.
With the rubber tires, would that prevent it from blowing everything out?
Yeah, partially, but I still believe if there's moisture on the tires, the bearings and all that are metal that go to the hubs, that go to the wheels, that go to the tires, that go to the ground. If there's moisture, I think there's got, if it's a massive EMP, I think you're going to have some current going through those tires, and I would ground it. I would put that bucket flat down. That's what I'm not recommending you do anything else that or something that I don't do. All of the equipment that we have that has buckets, those are on the ground.
You make
They're on
sure
the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, make sure it is grounded. That's my logic, and I've talked to plenty of engineers, and I found some that say no and some that say yes, and I would ground everything, and I like the idea of keeping sensitive electronics in ammo cans. Now they're not absolutely perfect because they have a rubber gasket, but they keep the moisture out, and they're surrounded on almost all surfaces except for that rubber gasket. They work pretty darn well. I think the trash can with a metal lid, the galvanized trash can, not a plastic one, but a galvanized can on the dirt is a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, I keep all the small stuff in that, but like the big stuff, extra vacuums and extra TVs and stuff, I wrap in Mylar. Is that going to help them all?
What I would do is I would not leave the cords stretched out to act as antennas. The power cords, I would not leave them attached to a twin lead antenna or a coaxial antenna. I would make sure that the power cord is folded in a short package, so it does not act as a large antenna. Don't plug it in. Don't attach it to the cable TV system or the over air antenna or a piece of wire as an antenna or rabbit ears. If it's extra, I would not do that. I would not have any of those devices attached, and I would also disconnect any. Some people leave their wall warts in for their charging of their cell phones and other equipment, battery-powered equipment. Don't leave them plugged in.
Well, see, I'm off grid, so I'm off.
Yeah.
I'm powered down most of the time, but.
Yeah, I understand, but if you even if you have power cords and there's a CME, those power cords will act as antennas, even if you're off the grid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a metal building, too, so I think that'll help, too, I hope.
Yeah, is it grounded?
Oh, metal roof?
Probably not.
I don't know, probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. So, you might want to ground that building.
Yeah, well, I could run that on the water pipe, right?
In one place. Just ground it in one place to the ground. Don't put multiple grounds in, because then you will have an effect where you're generating electricity between the ground rods, and you'll rust your metal building. Captain John Regan, hey, thank you so much for being with us today. And
thank you.
And John, we didn't talk about anything we want to talk about. John, thank you so much for all of your hard work. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. How many of you want to learn how to dig up bugs, worms, and raise crickets for food? Do you prefer to eat them dried and crunchy or while still alive? Well, you won't have to if you can defend your food supply from predators. You may want to get an AR-15 kit from guns80.com and build your own AR-15 rifle from a kit. If you can legally own a rifle, you can purchase this AR-15 kit. If you're handy, you can complete the rifle in about an hour. The kit comes with all the parts you're going to need to build your rifle, but you'll need a drill press. And survivalists need one anyway. The Guns80.com team purchased the same used floor-standing drill press that I have for $100. You can too. And when you're finished, you'll have a paperwork-free AR-15 rifle, a drill press, drill bits, and the knowledge to maintain your AR-15 rifle, all for less than you expect. So if you want a paperwork-free AR-15 parts kit like mine, visit Guns80.com, Guns80.com, and let the unprepared have our share of the bugs.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's NUharvestfoods.com.